What's up gamers, Cryptico here, and welcome back to Lowering the Mark, a show where I analyze the current and former world records of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe time trial runs to see how these records get faster over time. We'll look at elements such as the loadout, racing lines, and mushroom usage to better understand what's bringing these times down. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel and hit the notification bell to be the first to know when my videos go live. For today's episode, we're going to change gears and hop back over to the retro side to take a look at another iteration of a classic course, GBA Mario Circuit at 150cc. On April 29, 2017, the world record for this run was set at 1 minute 27.925 seconds by the Canadian player Cole. A little over 5 months ago, on June 18, 2020, the world record was brought down to 1 minute 24.148 seconds by the Japanese player Kurorin. That's a 3.7 second improvement between records and a 4.3% faster time. Our former world record holder Cole has broken 61 world records across 10 unique runs, but has only spent 171 days holding at least one world record. Our current world record holder Kurorin has broken 22 world records across 5 unique runs and has spent nearly 600 days holding at least one world record. The world record we're taking a look at is the only one he currently holds and is what's keeping that streak alive. At pre-release, the world record was just under 130, and after a few different kart choices, it would make its way down to 126 mostly thanks to Cole and Japanese player Kai. At that point, a lot of players were trying to get to 125, and it was the Japanese player Peze who would take the baton and get the sub himself. A few more loadout changes were thrown around in subsequent records from Kai, Axel, and Peze, as well as a few newcomers. At the end of 2017, French player Swift put up the fastest time of the year, and 62 days later, Peze responded and took the record back. Swift made short work of that record and took another 10th off from Peze's time, and that would hold for nearly 300 days before Swift came back and improved upon his time even further. Now, in 2019, and with the world record still falling, the race was on to achieve the first 124. A few players would go toe-to-toe with Swift for the sub, but it would be Japanese player Lemon who got there first. He would take the record all the way down to 124.6 before Kurorin beat and then improved the world record before the end of 2019. 2020 would see Kurorin fend off 3 challengers before securing the world record you see today. In total, the world record was broken 64 times by 19 different players. Now, these loadouts look completely different, but they almost achieve the same performance in a way when you look at the overall stats. Cole's goes with the combo of Donkey Kong driving the sneaker cart with the roller wheels and the super glider, while Kurorin goes with the combo of Waluigi driving the bitty buggy cart with the leaf tires and the paper glider. The character comparison is easy because each of these choices have the exact same stats across all areas, high top speed and low handling with less than adequate acceleration and mini turbo. The carts tell a different story, however. The sneaker cart takes half a point away from Cole's acceleration at the expense of no worthwhile benefit to any other stat. The bitty buggy, as you probably don't remember, adds 3/4 points to acceleration and mini turbo with an additional half point increase to the handling stat. You already know who the winner is here. Now I gotta give some credit to Cole for picking the roller wheels, which gives him a near full point increase to his mini turbo stat along with half point benefits to acceleration is exactly what he needed, but it's too little too late as Kurorin just grabbed similar increases by picking the leaf tires, thus putting him ahead in those stats. Here's another great example of a former world record holder not picking a glider that would help him. Kurorin just picks up one final boost to those key areas by picking the paper glider and comes away with a really powerful loadout. Now here's a course that I really enjoy. Just a simple GP style track where good driving and green shells determine your fate. There's a lot of areas for shortcuts in it as well, so it'll be interesting to see how our world record holders tackle this course. Cole starts off the race with a rocket start and quickly gets into a tight drift around the first turn before using the resulting super mini turbo to go wide on turn 2 and pick up 3 coins before hopping on over to the zipper ramp at the end of S1. Kurorin instead turns left right out of the gate and uses his first mushroom to cut through this grass patch before chaining 2 more mini turbos to close out the first section. He's already built a massive lead thanks to that shortcut and leads Cole by over 1.5 seconds going into S2. Cole hits the jump boost and then goes a bit wide on the U-turn to grab another coin before coming down the platform through that zipper and off the ramp into a tight final turn which results in a super mini turbo before S3. Kurorin hits that same jump boost and wide U-turn, but after he hits the zipper, he squeezes in an additional mini turbo before aligning himself up to hit the jump boost and take that same tight turn to close out the section where he slightly increased his lead over Cole to 1.9 seconds at the start of S3. Now this section is run the same by both players up until the final turn. They both grab those 3 coins and either get a super or ultra mini turbo to ride out until the final turn. Now they both charge up a super mini turbo to hit this no item shortcut over the tires here. but Cole heads for the pit road where a zipper is waiting for him, and Kuroden stays on the main road and chains a mini turbo just before crossing the line to finish lap 1, where he leads Cole by nearly 2.3 seconds. Now we just see some minor adjustments for each racer in this section. For Cole, it's taking a tighter second turn, and for Kuroden, it's using his second mushroom a bit earlier to charge up a super mini turbo across the grass before chaining those same 2 mini turbos from lap 1. Since Cole has yet to even use a mushroom, Kuroden just expands his lead by another half second to be ahead by 3.6 seconds at the end of S1. Throughout S2, Cole just hits that same jump boost and takes the U-turn a bit tighter since there's no coin to collect, and hits the zipper and zipper ramp the same way before hitting that tight turn after he lands. After Kuroden hits that jump boost, he lines himself up on the U-turn to take a no-item shortcut through this small patch of grass here before hitting the zipper and charging up that extra mini turbo before the second jump boost and turn when he lands. That cut helped him add an additional 0.7 of a second to his lead, which somehow sits at 4.3 seconds at the end of S2. Remind you that Cole hasn't even used a mushroom yet, so that's why his lead is so large. It's better late than never, I suppose, for Cole, as he finally uses his first mushroom to cut out that first wide turn of S3 before lining himself up for that same nisk over the tires before getting bumped slightly and going into pit road again for the zipper to close out that lap. Other than taking that first turn really tight, there's not much of a difference in Kuroden's S3 on this lap. He just rides out the boosts of longer lasting ultra mini turbos and chains additional ones together nicely to close out the lap. Since Cole finally used a mushroom, Kuroden's lead has shrunk a little bit, but it's basically insurmountable at this point at 3.5 seconds heading into the final lap. On the final lap, right after the finish line, we see that both racers use a mushroom to cut out that entire first turn before riding on down to the zipper ramp, only difference being Kuroden's additional 2 mini turbos before the end of S1, where he now leads by 3.9 seconds somehow going into S2. Again, we notice some similarities in S2, mainly being a tight U-turn, only Kuroden takes it a step further and hits that nisk that he did on lap 2 before both racers take the zipper and ramp into a tight turn to close out the section. That cut brought Kuroden's lead back to over 4 seconds and pretty close to 5 at the end of S2. Now after barely missing the super mini turbo on the first turn, Cole uses his last mushroom to cut through the grass patch near the second one before lining himself up for one final tire jump and pit road zipper on his way to cross the finish line. Sort of. Kuroden instead rides the boost of one last ultra mini turbo before hitting that same tire cut at the end to finish the race. Cole beat him on the mushroom count 2-1 on this lap, but the lead was large enough for Kuroden that it didn't really matter. He posts a time that ends up being 3.7 seconds faster than Cole's former world record. This record was made possible mainly because of that very first shroom spot, but also because of a better mini turbo arrangement and that nisk at the top of S2. Kuroden has a world record reign on this course of well over 275 days, which tells us that when he puts a time up, it will be incredibly difficult to beat by anyone but him. I wish I could get some words from him about this run, but I couldn't make that happen. I promise the next episode will have a Q&A segment, but for now, let's take a look at the best known splits. The best known splits for this run reflect just how optimized it has become. The sum time is just under 1/10 of a second faster, meaning that this run is pretty close to perfect. We again don't know what the final times that included these splits look like, but we know that they are pretty close to what we see in the world record. The most room for improvement lies in lap 1, with a massive 5 frames that can still be knocked off. Lap 2 can be improved by a couple frames, but lap 3 is so damn close to the best known split already, improving it by even 1 frame would make it the new best known split. Kuroden owns all 3 splits, and it's likely going to stay that way unless someone finds a new strat that's faster. The worldwide top 10 is pretty inclusive for this run, as it's home to just 3 national and continental record holders. Kuroden sits at the top with a nearly 0.3 of a second lead over Spanish record holder Alberto, who himself just sits 0.5 ahead of Japanese player whose name literally translates to legendary pork cutlet. Just outside the top 3, we have Mexican record holder Falco X and Japanese player Ryby. 6th through 8th place belong to Spanish player AkeTX and Japanese players Lemon and Handy, all of whom are separated by over 1/100th of a second. Rounding out the top 10 are 2 more Japanese players in Reijin and Mochi, a few tenths back from the world record. Kuroden was able to put up a world record that's merely 6 frames away from the sum time of the best splits ever recorded, so it's going to be hard for anyone to compete with that world record. But again, no lead is ever safe, and a potentially faster strat is all it would take to bring this record down further. That's the end of episode 29. I hope you enjoyed watching me analyze one of the most basic courses in the game. We've got the season finale on deck for next week, and trust me when I say this, you do not want to miss it. If you enjoyed this video, like and share it with your friends, and comment on which course you want me to analyze next. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.